Hey Chuck, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
When are we supposed to be starting?
We're starting at 9.
All right.
Hi everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I have another session in parallel, but I got the recording running. Just please remind everyone that they have to click OK um, in order to be able to unmute or do anything to interact with the meeting. That's the new Zoom policy thing that they implemented for recorded meetings, and I'll try to monitor the chat. If there's anything, any shout out to me as an action item. So if there's anything, please also throw it in the chat so I can
Okay.
visually check, because I might not be able to respond on audio right away.
Okay. I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but I
Oh,
think I
sorry,
think
I have
you're
a bad headset. Yeah.
okay. I think you were saying that you turned the recording on. Is that
Yes. So the recording is on, and has to join for another session as well. So if there's anything you want me to jump in on, please throw it in the chat too, so I can see it visually.
sure, sure.
Thank you. And tomorrow I'm only on the StarlingX session, so that should be easy. I'll be there 100%. Today's a little less percent.
Okay. Yeah, like you're splitting time between us and the Edge team.
No, today is you and Kata containers.
Okay. I didn't realize you were involved in that.
Yeah, it's a new development this year.
Okay. We're just waiting on some more people to join. We'll start in maybe 5 minutes or so. All right, I'm still waiting a bit for people to join. Probably start in about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, why don't we get started? I think we got some critical mass here. Um, oh, Ildiko, are you still around?
Yes,
Uh, can you make me host or co-host so I can grant sharing capabilities to people?
it's the regular call. Anyone should be able to share.
Ah, okay, perfect. I just wanted to double check that. Okay, so welcome. This is the StarlingX team's PTG for April. I think you guys can see the Etherpad that I'm sharing. So we'll take this has got the agenda on it, and we'll also use it to take notes. We've also got a Google Docs folder for any presentations that get done as part of this meeting. People can put them there so people can look at it after the fact. The I've got the general links here for the PTG event and the meeting links, although given that you guys are here, we've probably found those already. So basically the schedule for the StarlingX PTG meetings is this morning. Well, this morning we've got 4 hours booked this morning and tomorrow morning. But I suspect we're really only going to use like maybe 2 or 3 hours each morning. We'll go through the agenda in a bit. I'd like to encourage people to jot their names down on the Etherpad on the attendees list, just so we have a track of who's been here. And just wanted to initially start with just an intro. Anybody new to the open source stuff or the open infra foundation? They have these what they call PTGs or project team gatherings every 6 months. They're kind of loosely aligned with the OpenStack releases, so they may be staggered a bit. But they're basically an opportunity for the different open source projects within the infra the Open Infra Foundation to get together and mostly meet and discuss things within themselves, although there is some inter-project meetings set up at times as required. But it's mostly for the individual teams to kind of just get together and, discuss, not the daily topics of, builds and sanities and stuff like that, but more the higher level, a little longer term planning type topics for, what's being planned in the upcoming release, for example. And then there's also kind of retrospective type things on things we need to improve in our particular project, or things we're doing well, that sort of thing. Anyway, so that's the idea of this meeting. I've got some links here for what StarlingX is all about. I'm just kind of looking down who's attending here. Mostly the regular crew, although I think I see 2 or 3 people that I don't recognize the names, so or look kind of new. So maybe I'll just spend 5 minutes and go through this as an introduction as to what StarlingX is. So if you do follow these links, there is a variety of material from just web page information to slides or documents that you can go through describing StarlingX. I put my quickie notes. These are my 3-minute elevator speech for what StarlingX is. So basically, StarlingX, we basically provide software to kind of deploy and manage a private cloud. And basically, most of our users use StarlingX as basically a cloud-based platform to deploy their own containerized or virtualized apps. Like some of the big users of StarlingX are actually telecom guys, like 5G wireless guys, and they deploy their 5G apps at the edge of the networks with StarlingX. StarlingX is by no means specific to telecom. It's just there are a lot of users in telecom right now. So with respect, I mean, and there's a lot of other solutions that do similar things to StarlingX. I think the kind of key differentiating capabilities here are just a couple that I put down. We certainly scale very small, very big. We can exist on a single server, like even a single socket server. We can have 2 servers for HA. We can have the traditional cloud deployment with a few control servers, a few storage servers for a storage cluster, and then hundreds of worker nodes for hosting the applications. So we can scale big and small that way. And then we also provide kind of what we call a SDX distributed cloud solution, which is basically a geographically distributed collection of clouds. So there's a central system controller cloud, and then there's thousands of subclouds beneath it. And the system controller basically provides a lot of orchestration and automation activities related to managing those thousands of subclouds below it. And each of those subclouds below it could be a single server, dual server, traditional cloud sort of thing. The other really differentiating capability is just, it's a complete integrated, ready to deploy solution. Like there's no, you got to figure out what the storage backend is, or you got to figure out what the networking backend is. There's nothing like that. We've made all the kind of opinionated decisions for you. I mean, there's obviously options that you can configure one way or the other, but we've got an opinionated solution that's integrated, tested that way, basically ready to deploy. And so a little more detail, basically, StarlingX is kind of the infrastructure management glue of the cloud-based platform. So we basically provide, installation playbooks. We provide, installation and configuration management of the hosts themselves, managing you know, their CPUs, memory, huge pages, disks, network interfaces, a variety of things. We also manage all the cloud services, the installation of them, the configuration, the management, like so the Kubernetes cluster, the OpenStack cloud. And like I said before, like we manage you take care of all the backends for storage and networking related to those cloud services. We provide local container registry services. We integrate a ton of open source containerized services from other open source projects. So just so that they're kind of shrink wrapped into the kind of StarlingX solution, right? Like Nginx, Cert Manager, Harbor, Istio, KubeVirt, metric server, you use Dex for IDP stuff, Vault. There's a ton of them that we actually support. You know, we do things like certificate management, vault management. I forgot to put backup and restore on there, software management, that sort of thing. So StarlingX is all about, you know, like I say, deploying and managing a cloud-based platform. And like I say, typically our users are not running a cloud platform. They're typically using StarlingX as a cloud platform so that they can deploy their own applications that need the capabilities of a cloud as a platform. So I put some other links to kind of some onboarding type stuff. But anyways, let me pause for a sec. Any questions on kind of StarlingX? I know most of the people here are been in StarlingX a while, but I think there's a few new people. Okay, well, feel free to, throughout this PTG meeting, feel free for anybody to interrupt and ask some questions or provide some feedback. Next thing I want to do is just review the agenda for today and tomorrow. I know sometimes we have to juggle some of the topics based on people's availability. So I've got kind of a rough view of what we're doing today and tomorrow. So for today, besides the intro and the agenda review, which we're doing right now, the main topic that I wanted to start with is just our regular topic where we've got a bunch of sub-projects within StarlingX, like what, about 12 or 10 of them. And for each of those sub-projects, we've basically got a project lead and a tech lead. And we have a normal agenda item in these PTGs where we just go through each of the sub-projects and ask either the PL or TL to give like a 5 to 10 minute, you know, update on the project. And, you know, the instructions I've given these guys is, you know, just, you know, let us know details about your team, you know, who are all the contributors on your project, you know, provide info on what you did in the recent release. And in this case, that's StarlingX R9 that basically just got released. And then tell us about things that you're thinking of looking at or your contributors on your project are thinking of looking at in the next release. So that's going to be StarlingX R10 for us. So anyways, I've got a tentative list of the order in which I wanted to go through these. Most of the people have confirmed that they're going to be here. Linda just told me that she's going to be late, so we'll start with Bruce or Chris. But anyways, we have that item. I suspect that's going to take about an hour and a half to grind through all those, even though there's only 5 to 10 minutes on each guy. We'll maybe take a break sometime within there. Somebody added an OpenStack up versioning topic into the PTG. So we can talk about that if it's not talked about when Douglas talks about the OpenStack distro stuff. And then we also wanted to have a bit of a retrospective on SDX9, just what things went well, what things didn't go well. You know, for example, we had to delay the SDX9 release a few months this time. Anyway, so those are the proposed topics for Tuesday. And then Wednesday, it's a bunch of miscellaneous type topics. There's a messaging exercise that Ildiko wanted to run on Wednesday. And then we always have a slot in our PTG to have basically an open discussion on any new or potential users of StarlingX and find out, how's their progress going, what help do they need, that sort of thing. There's a topic proposed for StarlingX test. We might talk a bit about this in the retrospective, because like I say, the testing was one of the areas that caused some of the deferral for SDX9. But anyways, we're gonna have a focus session on that tomorrow. And then there's a couple of topics that we've had regularly on our weekly TSC meetings that we were going to just maybe dive into in a little more detail around. Steve Gary has done some work around proposing some changes to the way we do Garrett reviews, and then also one of the key technical areas that we're trying to kind of get kickstarted in StarlingX is to support StarlingX on ARM servers. And so there's a bunch of work being done with to really just set up for that. And we've been having trouble getting that kickstarted, but so we're going to discuss that. Any comments on the agenda items other items you want to talk about, or agenda items you want to move from one day to the other, or anything like that?
So Greg, I turn into a pumpkin towards the end of the session tomorrow. So if there's an opportunity to move me earlier, that would be great. Right now, I think I fit within the envelope, though.
Okay, I could move these topics to the beginning of the day, Wednesday, the beginning of the meeting Wednesday. Would that help?
That works for me.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay. Any other changes required or anything? New topics? Okay. Okay, so why don't we get started on the project teams update. Like I said, Linda just mentioned to me that she's not going to be here till 10:15, so we'll put her at the bottom. And is Bruce or Chris here? Okay, Bruce or Chris are not here. Put them at the bottom. Okay, Steve. Hey, I see Steve.
Hey, Greg, I can go, sure.
Very good. Did you have anything to share, or do you just?
Yeah, I've got something. I can pull it up.
Okay, let me stop sharing and see if you can
Okay.
share.
All right, can everyone see my slide?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm just going to kind of go over some of the accomplishments and some of the work that the networking sub team has done over the past 6 months since the last PTG. Some things you'll see that um, were actually the final merge or the final completion was moved out to StarlingX 10, and that's in most of the cases it's just because the testing wouldn't have completed in time or it was too tight. But I kind of just put it under the StarlingX 9 umbrella because the majority of the actual work and coding was done there. So I don't want to minimize that. So yeah, let's just go through the list here. So first one I have here is the redundant HA PTP time sources, and this is just to enable us to have multiple PTP time sources, so you're not just dependent on one. So this one has merged. Secondly, we have the platform network reconfig. So this is one that work is still ongoing, but it's the majority of the work here has been done. And this one's like for the ability to change your management network subnetting information after the initial install. And part of that is kind of moving to a FQDN solution or DNS solution so that applications and platform services and stuff can refer to different nodes on the system by their host name rather than a fixed IP. So that actually makes it easier to when you change that management network information underneath, it allows things to be more seamless. Next one down the list. So this is again one that is just going to be too tight to finally get the final merge for StarlingX 9, but I know a lot of work went into that, so it's really I think this one just needs some revalidation on StarlingX 10.
I think what we can also say here, Steve, just for the benefit of everybody, there were 2 completed Intel FEC operator up versions in STX 9 that are
That's
part
true.
of STX 9. So 2.6.1. Sorry, I forget what the first one is, and 2.7.0, I believe. So this one here is, so anyway, I would suggest if we can make this clarification, the one that's happening in 10 is really for 2.8.0 and 2.9.x. So the way I would phrase this is that, you know, there's active work in the FEC operator area of just staying current and moving to new versions. And the Intel team is supporting that on a per release basis, on a per StarlingX release basis, so that newer releases would have the latest available from the upstream projects for these.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Gata. And you see that this kind of a theme for the networking team is a lot of the stuff that we did was actually just maintaining and up-revving applications to keep them current. So the node metric exporter application. So this is a new application that was developed, and this just allows you to get a lot more stats off of the system. So yeah, I believe this one, the coding is mostly complete, but I think as of now, it's still going through final testing. So again, this will be a StarlingX 10.
This is mostly stats to do with networking.
Yeah. So this is a common one we do a lot, and is keeping current with some of the images that we include, and that includes like Calico, Multis, the SRV, CNI, and the device plugin. And it's also for just the regular plugins that interact with some of those CNIs. So, you know, there's a DHCP plugin, there's like a Mac VLAN plugin. So those kind of come in a package together. And we just try to keep those as up to date and tested as we can. Again, so we did an uprev of Istio and Kiali. I think this happened last year. So I wish I had I had more information to put on here, but I don't. I just know that we did it. And the same thing for the STS Silicom application. So the Silicom application is use that in the PTP world as well.
Hey, Steve, before you go to the 10 stuff, that feature that you mentioned at the very beginning, network management reconfig.
Yeah.
That went in SDX 9.
The majority of the
No.
code.
Well, some code went in, I think
Yeah.
is the way we should say it. This is not supported in SDX 9.
Okay.
That's a good way
It
of putting
doesn't
it.
work.
Yeah.
The other question I had, and I should probably know the answer to this, but so this changes the addresses on the management network?
Yeah, you'd have the ability to do that, yes.
And then have the security guys that are working on IPsec over management chatted with you about this, and do they handle this scenario of the management IP addresses getting changed? I'm just wondering if that's something that we haven't got covered yet.
It's a good question, Greg, and I haven't talked to them at all about that, but
okay, I can follow up on it.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Talked about Silicom. So kind of moving forward, you see some of the same items here that I just talked about, but it's really, like I said, getting the full testing and the full coverage is going to be extending into StarlingX 10 planning or StarlingX 10 release. So kind of the big one that we have for StarlingX 10 is the one on the bottom, and that's quite a big change. So we're going to be supporting dual stack networking. Today, you kind of choose IPv4 or IPv6, and that's what you're stuck with. So this does require like quite a few changes throughout the system. So it is kind of well on its way right now, but it will be requiring quite a bit more work. And then finally, I don't know if I've captured everyone on this list, but there is quite a extensive list of contributors that we've had over the last 6 months. So if I've forgotten anyone, I apologize. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. If anyone has any questions.
Any other questions for Steve, the networking team? You put these slides up on the Google Docs folder?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Okay, thanks a lot, everyone.
Okay, thanks,
I'll
Steve.
stop sharing.
Okay, just a sec. Just making a note here. Making a note to remember to follow up on that IPsec over management stuff. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Flock Services team. So I don't know if that's John or Jim that's going to be presenting. Or
Yeah, I can present.
okay.
Hi, good to have been with the community, I guess, for a couple months now. Pretty new. So this is my first PTG, so be kind. We're hopefully you can see, I think you can see my screen. So a little bit about STX9. So a lot of what we've been working on in STX9, I'd say, would be around trying to tweak some of the performance that we've had. And so the features really about that were around upgrade and deployment and trying to optimize that and get a little bit of performance out of that. Some other minor kind of maintenance stuff is we're just updating for namespace or for pods to make sure we've got proper tagging on those, so they're better traceable when we're actually you're looking at debugging situations in your Kubernetes applications. I'd say probably the biggest thing, an impact to the community, would be some of the work that's been done around the maintenance and installer enhancements. So Eric McDonald kind of led that in trying to deliver a bunch of updates around trying to improve some of those areas. And it's not a lot that's, you know, super visible. There was some code refactoring that was being done, a lot of things just to improve what's going on behind the scenes with Flock services. So not a heck of a lot, but that's because we've been working on in the background for the past year on USM, which I think Greg has talked about before. So the goal with USM in STX10 is really to help consolidate our patching and upgrade story to improve that and sort of get to a place where it's a lot cleaner, a lot more optimized for people trying to deploy and upgrade and patch StarlingX. So a lot of the work has been going around that. Part of that was introducing apt-OS tree, which is kind of a package. So think of it simply as sort of that package management layer. So it's a layer that sits between OS tree and the application. So we're using that to interface with it. Chuck had put that together. Fantastic piece of work that you know, it's got hopefully it's got a lot of legs and it's going to be used in other areas as well. Some of the other stuff we did was working on the kernel selection configurability. We were working on improving some of the upgrade framework, and again, more scalability improvements, and a piece of work around allowing local host entries. So you just essentially it's pulling in information from etc hosts so that you can use those hosts as opposed to having them DNS registered. So again, a lot of the work we've been working on in the background during 9 and on towards 10 is to focus on that USM piece, which is it's been a massive piece of work for the team. So I really we're getting there, making progress, but there's a lot more to be done and a lot more integration with especially with Michelle's team in DC. So here you go. Any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to add that the USM stuff, yeah, like Jim was saying, it's a big feature and it has impact both on to the user, positive impact on the user with respect to you know, the CLIs and APIs that he uses to manage, you know, patches and major release upgrades. It basically hopefully simplifying them and unifying them, and but the other big thing is just that the software deployment or major release upgrades for a simplex system is much better in the sense of reduced outage time because of leveraging OS tree. So I think that it's going to be a big value add. One question I had, and maybe this is more a Chuck question, is I know we did a really good job of, you know, doing apt-OS tree as kind of a standalone hybrid package manager, and then just using it with the StarlingX stuff. Have we progressed? Have we progressed any with respect to I don't even know what's the process, but talking to like the Debian maintainers about taking Aptos tree as a new package in Debian.
Not yet. It's on the roadmap.
Okay. Because I think that because I think, like I said, we did, yeah, well, you guys did a really good job of, being, firm about keeping Aptos tree kind of in a standalone package, that it could be kind of just plucked out of StarlingX and put into Debian, and then StarlingX just uses it out of Debian. So yeah, no, that'd be good if we can follow up that in the future. No rush on it, but it'd be good. Any other questions for the Flock Services team? Okay, thanks, Jim. Did you put these up on the Google Docs folder?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, let me check. Okay, it is GATA with security. I think GATA's here, right?
Yep, I am here, Greg. All right, let me just share the screen here. People see the slides?
Yep.
All right, excellent. So this is just some information about contributors to the StarlingX security subproject team. And the team focus, our team focus is on CVE scanning on vulnerability and security-oriented hardening and feature capabilities for StarlingX. So the team covers both of these. You'll see we have contributors across multiple locales. We have a team in China, which is also actively involved on the OS side. They manage CVEs and updating the kernel and packages to pick up CVE fixes. And then we have a number of developer contributors that work on a variety of security-oriented features. And I'll show a list of what was achieved in STX9 and what is being planned or proposed for STX10. So you'll see we have contributors from Canada, Brazil, and India. There is a biweekly meeting by invite only on Mondays at 9:30 Eastern, where basically we discuss security related topics. All right, I'll go to the next slide. So this is basically a list of features that were completed in StarlingX 9. So just to go quickly, and then Greg, of course, if you want to jump in with any more technical information, please do. So we've introduced a new containerized application to support App Armor and the Kubernetes security profiles operator. We've done a number of platform application updates to basically remain current, pick up any fixes, and also continue to be compatible with the newer versions of Kubernetes in STX9. So we've updated Vault, Proteras, OIDC DEX, Ingress Nginx, and Cert Manager. We've also, again, additional work related to the transition to Kubernetes 1.25 and 1.26 was the removal of the deprecated pod security policies. So that was done in STX 10 as well. We've done some enhancements to the Windows Active Directory user and sudo Linux group assignments. So some work has been done there. We've introduced the LUX encrypted file system for storing right now. I mean, it is a general purpose in terms of just storing sensitive information. Right now, there are 2 pieces of information stored in the LUKS encrypted file system, which is the etcd encrypted key for Kubernetes secrets, as well as the vault key shards. So that's kind of, well, at a high level, what the team has focused on for STX9. Greg, did you want to add any technical color to any of these topics that you think may be of interest to the audience here?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add would be, yeah, like you said, like all the application updates you're doing to stay current, and a lot of that is to stay current for CVE fixes that are going into these open source projects that we're integrating. And then the only other thing was like the WAD users, sudo, and local Linux group assignment. That's all about making it easier to use a remote Windows Active Directory to manage users and be able to control which users have sudo, which users have, belong in, the sys protected group, which enables capabilities on WSCB. So these are all good security items.
All right. Okay. I may have forgotten one feature, which I will add here. It's for my own knowledge, because sorry, I just have in the background here the list of storyboards, and for some reason I forgot this one. It's coming. Is the Kubernetes API CLI OIDC DEX authentication, Greg. I think this was also something that the team completed in STX9. All right. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. So these security features that are planned for StarlingX 10, biggest one is enabling IPsec on the L2 management network. We have a slide on that Greg will go over just to give a bit of a feature overview. Next, we are also have a feature plan to use Cert Manager by default on all new system deployments. Right now, Cert Manager is used by default for distributed cloud systems, specifically for the admin endpoint certificates that allow communication between the system controller and the subcloud, but it is not used by default for things like the REST API certificates or I think it is used for the Open LDAP certificate. But anyway, there are a number of certificates where we're not using Cert Manager by default. So the plan is to transition them for new system deployments starting in StarlingX 10. And in conjunction with that, we are doing a number of improvements to the system certificate, CLI, just usability enhancements mostly. We're also going to enhance the StarlingX password rules for Linux users, Open LDAP users, and Keystone users to basically introduce stricter rules so that we're more aligned to password rule, like more updated password rules. So we'll have larger passwords and a number of criteria in terms of renewal and last used and such. So for anybody who's interested in more details, these storyboards would have the details for each features. We're also enabling the DTLS protocol for SCTP in the kernel. So that will also be done and tested for STX10. And finally, again, similar theme to what has been covered or discussed before, we will again continue to remain current on the platform applications. So these are a set of applications that are planned for various updates and compatibility with Kubernetes 1.28 and 1.29. Any high level questions on the feature list? Okay, great. Go to the next slide. Greg, if you're
Sure.
able to walk us through this, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So we wanted to provide a little detail just on this IPsec over. Well, the name is IPsec on L2 platform networks, but we're specifically doing it for the management network today. So the internal network that's used, it's mostly used between hosts inside of our cloud. This basically came up because we one of the users of our of the Wind River's commercial product that's based on StarlingX did some independent security tests, and basically they, did this LAN here is really a Ethernet switch, right? And so they basically showed that they could attack the system by plugging their laptop into this Ethernet switch, and attacking the nodes and getting sensitive information out of the nodes. And historically, we've said that that's an internal network and it should be physically protected and stuff like that. But more and more, the use cases of StarlingX is that this stuff is out in the wild, and you cannot. Users cannot afford to, the physical security that would be required to prevent somebody from plugging into the top of rack switch that's in a small remote cabinet or something like that. So anyways, that was a justification for why we needed to do that. Now, just to be clear, so this is the management network. If you guys are familiar with distributed cloud, the management network is so internally used within a subcloud, but it's also externally used towards the system controller. And so the IPsec on the management network that we're doing is only for local traffic between these hosts. The traffic that goes externally between the system controller and the subcloud is already TLS protected. So we're not doing IPsec there. It's really just IPsec on kind of purely internal local traffic on that management network. And so we basically changed the post install sequence because, as you guys know, the way the install of StarlingX works is you install controller 0 first, and then it'll boot load and install the other workers. So we changed that post install sequence so that the host could securely exchange PKI keys for setting up IPsec, and these PKI keys would be used for IPsec auth. And then, almost immediately after the host is installed, it will set up IPsec transport mode on the management network with other hosts, and mainly the controllers. And then basically, like I said before, the IPsec policy will identify that it's only the internal traffic, not this traffic towards the system controller, that is IPsec protected. So this is just a little more detail, just showing that the IPsec policy is the one that detects whether the IPsec encryption needs to be done on the traffic flow or not. So this is now when this gets merged into StarlingX master, this is basically going to be enabled by default. Like, there's no configuration required for this, and it should be transparent to the end user, other than if you plug the laptop into your top of rack switch now, you would not be able to snoop the packets anymore, and wouldn't be able to actively connect with any services in the workloads. Any questions on this? I guess the other thing I should mention is that for this feature, the amount of traffic that stays local between these nodes is quite small. So we're obviously doing some tests, but the performance degradation should be negligible. You shouldn't even notice any performance degradation.
Great, thanks, Greg. Right, if there are no questions, I'll just continue. So on the next slide, this is just a slide for our CVE scanning. There are no changes since the last PTG, so we continue to run CVE scans monthly and continue to fix on the STX main branch. Actually, this number is even higher than 68. I should search for the new number, but we have basically the operating system team has done a large number of CVE fixes since well, I just picked a random starting point since February of 2023, which is kind of the beginning of STX 9. So I'll try and get this number, but it is much bigger than 68 now. And that's it. There are no other changes. We're focusing on Debian, and we're focusing on the host CVEs. Right, I'll go to the next slide. Greg, maybe if you can, I don't know how much of this we want to cover, but this is just more of evolution or potential security features beyond our immediate plans for STX10. So as a team, we're trying to keep a bit of a running list of security initiatives and interests that may be useful for the community to tackle. So this is that list. Do you want to talk to anything specifically on this list, Greg, or if anybody has questions on it?
The only one I was gonna maybe mention, because you're right, this is sort of our roadmap / wish list for security work that we still have to do in StarlingX. The only one that I was going to talk about was just the very first one, just that, we're trying to get to a point where the user management of StarlingX is all done in one place, because today it's kind of distributed in 2 or 3 places. So we're trying to get to a point where somebody can manage StarlingX with one set of users that work across all the APIs and interfaces, and so that's an important one. And it's got we did a bit of work in 9 on that. We're doing a little more in 10. We're probably going to go to 11 and 12 because it's going to take a while to do. But we want to get to a point where you can either manage your users with the local LDAP that's delivered with the StarlingX, or you can use a user can use his own remote Windows Active Directory as his user base for StarlingX. So I think that'll be really good when we get it done. But like I say, it's going to be a lot of small features across the 3 or 4 StarlingX releases.
Great, thanks, Greg. Any questions from anyone on just the security update? All right. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll hand it over back to you, Greg.
Okay, actually, Douglas just pinged me, or maybe he did it earlier, pinged me on chat that he has to leave soon. So I'm gonna let Douglas on the OpenStack distro go next. If you're still here, Douglas.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you've got the floor.
Let me just figure out how to share this screen here. Please let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Great. All right, so we're going to talk about StarlingX OpenStack, also known as STX OpenStack. And the team responsibility is to maintain the app, the StarlingX OpenStack app, as a containerized application, and develop it and integrate new features related to the product, to OpenStack product within StarlingX, and allow virtualization and running VMs on top of the StarlingX product The team is led by Thales Servi, and we have a few contributors working on STX OpenStack, Lucas, Romulo, Luan, and other guys working to test the application, Gabriel and Danilo. I've been managing this team for the last 3 or 4 years, and we have meetings held bi-weekly on Tuesday, every other Tuesday, 8 a.m. Eastern. We have our sanity executions analyzed Monday, or executed Monday, and the reports are sent to the mailing list. There is being pause on the executions after the code freeze for for STX 9, but we will probably get back to that agenda. I also have the links for the installation and configuration of the app in the docs and in the slides if you need to use those links. I also uploaded the presentation to the drive that Greg shared with us. It's on the Etherpad. And here's the list of the STX 9 features that were added on the STX OpenStack application. First one was to decouple the platform and the STX OpenStack application builds in separate manifests and build jobs. So it helps, gives more flexibility to both StarlingX and STX OpenStack to not depend on each other. And this helps when we need to make changes that would otherwise impact the platform. So that way it is completely isolated. It was completed on October last year. We are using now containerized OpenStack clients. We were previously using the clients that are present in the platform, the OpenStack clients that are already delivered on the platform. But the majority of those clients were only used by the app, and we chose to distribute the clients that we were going to use within the app. So now it's also part of this decoupling of the platform and the app, which makes it easier for us to upversion the clients without impacting the platform, without having to validate that all the changes or changes in the clients would not affect the way the platform is behaving or working. So we decoupled those OpenStack clients used by the app from the platform and containerized it. Also, we removed the clients that were not used by the platform. So a little bit of cleanup in there. And it makes it possible, allows us to go further or update OpenStack even further within the next release to be always up to date with OpenStack versions. This was completed on September last year. And I think the biggest feature delivered on STX 9 was the STX OpenStack up version. We moved from Usuri that was present on StarlingX until version 8, and we replaced it with a newer version of OpenStack based on the Antelope release that was it's 2023.1 release for OpenStack, code name Antelope. We also, as part of this work, we updated the OpenStack Helm base to a more recent commit, so we can also use the present on the OpenStack Helm. The same applies to the OpenStack Helm infra which we also are using more recently. Without mentioning that we had to update the STX Docker images related to STX OpenStack to use the most recent changes that that were available on StarlingX. All the details for the changes are on the storyboard. It was completed on November last year, and we ran a lot of tests on top of that changes, all of those changes, which were huge changes, by the way. It seems we jumped, I don't know, Usuri was there is a bunch of releases between Usuri and Antelope, and it was a big jump, and we had to spend a lot of time validating that all the interfaces were still working and adapting the interfaces to the new Antelope way of work. And it took us more time than we anticipated, and we had to put a lot of effort on testing the app as well. Greg, if you have any technical details that you want to share, I would appreciate that as well.
Yeah, nothing technical, but I agree that this was a big win for us to kind of get like you were saying, Usuri, I think is like 5 or 6 releases old. So like 3.5 years old. So this was big for us to get more current with the OpenStack release. And I think you're going to talk about it later, but going forward, this is going to be like every release thing is that we're going to try to keep current.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right. And we also started discussing the next features for STX10, the potential roadmap, and things that we would like to do and see on STX10. The first one is to maintain this up versioning of the app, of the base OpenStack version that we are using, and perhaps going to Bobcat as a quick move from Antelope, since we already had some experiences with a good experience with Antelope, and it's just one release jump. It would make things easier. And since the build system that we prepared in one of the epics that I showed is already supporting the split manifest, it would make our lives easier as well during this up version, which might take less time than the previous up version that we did. So I think this is the most direct feature that would consider for STX10. And then we also planned an application update, which would allow us to go move between OpenStack versions using the application update command, and make that a non-disruptive process. So customers would continue using their deploys and would just run the application update instead of removing one version and reinstalling it with the newer version. We also have planned the QEMU update. Target version is 7.2 as mentioned in the slides. It is required. The up version of QEMU is required for the StarlingX Kata containers, and I believe that this up version or this update was already started somehow. We would need to validate that it's not breaking the STX OpenStack, and we'll probably also need to upversion the libvirt, because it relies on QEMU. So it would be, I believe that majority of the work on this area would be on the libvirt update, and we have a storyboard for that. And finally, we have this TLS certificates enhancement, something that is already present in the platform, and we can follow up and apply the same security enhancements on the app as well. Any comments, any suggestions?
Yeah, there's one question on the chat there about should we be going to CarCal, like the C version of OpenStack rather than Bobcat. I can take a first pass at that. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think OpenStack versioning, to be able to do the up versioning from one release to another, with the automatic, data model migrations and stuff like that, is only supporting N+1 up versioning. I could be wrong, because I think there has been some talk about supporting N+2 and stuff like that. So I think the current plan is that we're just going to go to Bobcat. And I think the current plan is to, like I say, I almost view everything that Douglas has on this slide as features that we have to do every release. We have to up version OpenStack every release, and then we have to support the application N+1 up versioning for that OpenStack up version. And then, the QEMU and TLS all fall into the bucket of we have to make any changes that the WSP platform imposes on us. So those are all. So currently we're getting set up to do that kind of one OpenStack release at a time. I see your note about CarCal is supporting N+2. We can take it under consideration, take a look at it, but given that we don't support any OpenStack up versioning today, I think maybe what we'll do is just the N+1 for Bobcat. Maybe we'll catch up in SCX 10. Maybe we'll do the Bobcat to the D version in SCX 11.
Yeah.
Is that your last slide, Douglas, or
It is my last slide. Yes.
any other questions for the OpenStack team?
All right. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, let me share again. Did you put those slides up on the Google's Docs folder?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Did we want to take a 5-minute break now, or do people just want to plow on, or maybe 10-minute break? Does anybody object to a 10-minute break? Okay, why don't we do a 10-minute break, and we'll start up again at like say 10:25.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay, we're back. I think I was thinking what we might do is just as an agenda item change is we'll finish the project team updates, and then I think we've covered this as part of what Douglas did. But maybe instead of doing the retrospective, we'll just end with today after we do the finished project updates. We'll end maybe with because I noticed a few people, Ildico was reminding me, a few new people, David Parsons and then Shahruz Bhakti are two people that I haven't seen before, but maybe we'll just have an open discussion on kind of what their interest in StarlingX is and that sort of thing, just in case they can't make it tomorrow. Okay, so let's.
Greg,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, this is David Parsons. I have a hard stop at the top of the hour, so I'm not too sure if there'll be time for me to give you a little bit of some feedback on how we use it. But I will be there for the first hour tomorrow. But after that, I can't.
Okay, so you're going to be here for the first half tomorrow?
Yeah, for the first hour, not the.
Oh, first hour. Okay, so we can do some of that open discussion, maybe move it up, interleave it with Steve. I think Steve said he was going to be maybe more than an hour. So, okay, we could do that. Do that first thing tomorrow morning if that's good with you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'll go back on mute and listen to you guys.
No problem. Okay, so as far as the project team updates, I think we're down to distributed cloud guys. I don't know if this is, I think I've seen both Michelle and
Yeah,
T.
Michelle is here. Yeah, T just joined. All right. Okay, so let me share my screen and I'll get going. Okay, you guys see something?
Yep, I can see that.
All right. All right. So just to start with, all right. So I'm basically new to this project from a few months ago. My name is Michel Desjardins, and I joined a few months ago, and probably around the same time as Jim Beacom. So yeah, team has been broken up. It was managed by a single person, a RAM, and now we've divided in two. So Jim's leading the Flock services, and I'm leading the distributed cloud. So I'm trying to advance here. Okay. Yeah, I'll just an overview of our team from a distributed cloud team. Yeah, so I'm the PL, and T and Go is the technical lead, leading this sub team. So in general, our charter is about, the central management and orchestration of, distributed network and geographic fashion for edge computing. So that's our main mandate. We really work with zero-touch provisioning, sub-cloud reconfig, and patching, pre-stage, backup, restore, all the phases of normal maintenance of clouds and sub-clouds. So that's in general our team mandate. So okay, so what today I'll do is I'll just present what we've done in SDX 9.0. Main, so in general, 4 general features that we've done. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions. So in this release, SDX 9, the big feature was really about the introduction of our geo redundancy feature. So this is a semi-automatic supported feature, and it's really about, you know, supporting distributed cloud and geographically distributed regions, and also managing the states through independent system controllers, right? So fairly large. It's been a few releases working on that, and yeah, it's being completed as we speak. So it'll be in STX9. Also, a long awaited feature about the long latency, where we just basically having, you know, make sure we have, you know, consistent, you know, network delay for all the operations. So we make a lot of improvements, you know, to ensure that we have consistent latency between system controllers and subclouds. So that was another introduction. So we did also our VMC Redfish debugging, basically, and improvements there. It's just a general improvement feature where we've done, you know, some improved, you know, maintenance and debugging, which is useful for operations. And also the support for subcloud install, you know, and restore from previous release. So go back, use the CentOS operating system. So that's kind of our general feel. So I'll ask T if she wants to add, since she's on the call. Do you want to add to our STS9 accomplishments?
Well, can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can.
My headset, it ran out of juice, so I'm now right on the laptop speaker. So
we can hear you.
Okay, so to elaborate on the geo redundancy, so basically, this feature will allow the operator the ability to recover from a catastrophic event by rehoming the subclouds that are geographically protected from the failed system controller to its peer site. So geo-redundancy is basically managed as a shared state across independent system controllers. So edge subclouds are managed by a single primary site, and with additional site providing alternative management in the event that the entire site becomes you know, unavailable. So the operator can run upon detecting that the main site is down. The operator can trigger a rehome, you know, request to rehome all of the subclouds that is in the protected group to the peer site. So that's the geo redundancy, but that's the first phase. And the first phase involves just a manual trigger, and the second phase would be an automatic trigger of subcloud rehoming. Regarding the long latency, is that the reason behind that feature is that to enable the operator to deploy the so-called mobile subclouds to site via rehoming, and the sites in kind of seasonally in high demand. So the mobile subclouds can be far away from the site that is in high demand. So we just want to make sure that the DC audits, DC operations can be provided to these mobile subclouds. And the other thing that we update as part of this feature is to automatically restore expired certificate as part of this new subcloud, I mean the mobile subcloud deployment to far away sites. Because these mobile subclouds could be, you know, on the shelf for a long time, and the certificates expire. So part of that, the certificate can be also restored as part of the deployment. And thanks security team for participating in, I mean, collaborating with us to get this done. And then the Redfish remote install, like there's actually there are three three improvements that we made. One is to add various code to accommodate some software quotes from various BMC server providers, right? So to eliminate some false negative and false positive that can cause remote install failure. The second one is that we want to add the ability for the operator to enable debugging of the RVMC, as well as to capture the serial console over remote install, so they can have more idea why the remote install failed. And then we also want to decontainerize the RVMC as part of this feature to allow to reduce the development time, because each time in the past, the RVMC is containerized and we have to produce like generate an image, and this is just like it's taking it's not as it takes quite a bit of time in order to update make any update to the RVMC. So we want to be containerized, and we also promote code sharing between components that are implemented in Python and in Ansible. So they are two separate components can share the same RVMC code. Yeah. So I just want to elaborate on the three achievements that we made for distributed cloud in StarlingX 9.0.
Yeah, and there are big achievements that involve the whole team, and yeah, really thanks T for leading that for sure. Thank you. Okay,
Back to you, Sean.
thank you. All right, so what we're planned for STX10, the plan is not fully complete, so I'm just listing basically what we are, for sure gonna do, and the list will grow. So again, deployment phase and the board operation. So we're always improving, on the granularity of operations that we will provide for deployment. So that will be an add-on that we will continue in STX10. As Jim mentioned earlier today, the big feature that's being introduced in STX10 is the unified software management, USM. So DC has a fair amount of work to adapt to this this new paradigm of USM. So that will take a lot of our time to get that going. So and will be integrated at the same time as it's being introduced by the Flock services team. So yeah, so that will be a large part of it. We're making essentially some bootstrap deployment optimization, really trying to shorten our deployment time, and through what we can do in the bootstrap area. So that's the third feature. And of course, the install restore for previous release is basically allowing to support a restore from STX10 to STX9 and back and forth. We're also investigating scalability improvements. I just put it there as an investigation effort. We will formalize it a bit more, but there's a lot of investigation going on how can we, what can we do to make our StarlingX solution better in the distributed cloud. So I don't know if you want to add more, T.
No, that's
okay.
Good.
So that's that, and so obviously stay tuned for more, and we'll add we'll add more in the list as they are confirmed. All right. Also, yeah, we had in the past there was a regular meeting for distributed cloud and Flock services. Been discussing with Jim as to how we're gonna revive that a little bit. I was thinking doing bi-weekly or monthly. Stay tuned. I'll make a clear announcement as to when these will start again. But we will definitely have a shared meeting between DC and Flock services to to communicate and allow the community to, provide updates or questions through these meetings. So those have been slow in the last few months, but I really intend to restart those meetings very soon. So stay tuned for an announcement. And yeah. Is there any other questions? If not, thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle and T for distributed cloud update. Next I had hoped to get Scott Camp to give us an update on the kind of software upgrade and patching stuff that he's working on for the community, but I don't think he's here. We might have to defer that till tomorrow. Rob, the test team. I think I saw Rob here.
I am here.
Ah, excellent. We'll stop sharing.
All right, can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, so just give a quick update on the test status. Sort of talk to some of the accomplishments in 9.0. So in regards to our sanity testing, so nothing much has changed there really. We continue to execute sanity on a weekly basis for both the platform and StarlingX plus OpenStack. We do configurations for both SX and DX in our sanity. It was something we'd started new in 8.0 and we continued through 9.0 as well. Getting into the sort of the feature side of things for 9.0. So we've completed all the feature testing and we did 22 features were explicitly tested throughout the release. For those 22 features, we executed 683 manual test cases. 9 of the features were covered through, those are a lot of version, things like that, covered through existing automation, through our sanity and automated regression runs. We get coverage there. So our feature pass rate in 9.0 was 97%. That's up from 8.0. You can see in the notes there, so that's good. We did have 14 tests that were marked as failed, and none of the items that we highlighted there were deemed as gating for release. So we were able to release with those, and we'll continue to track those to resolution. Added a link for the details if you're interested in terms of the details around the testing. It's in that sheet that's linked there. In terms of our release regressions or automated release regression that we did in the last couple of weeks, so two sessions were executed. We did SX first on the release candidate build. We had a total of 442 tests executed there with a 95% pass rate, which is an improvement again over SDX 8.0. So we're making improvements in our test execution, refining the tests, looking for opportunities to make things better there. So we're seeing the results of that come out in our pass rates, which is great. And then second execution was done on the DX configuration where we had 405 tests executed with a 98% pass rate, again up from 87 in 8.0. So as always, we analyze all the failures through our regressions to make sure that there's nothing that's identified as gating. So we had no gating issues, which again allowed us to declare green for release of 9.0. Link there again at the bottom for details around the automated regression execution for the 9.0 release. In terms of 10.0, so you've heard a little bit through some of the presentations already this morning that some features, are getting merged, and we've started to do some execution there. Sanity will continue. We'll continue to do sanity as we have been with both AX and DX systems. But back to the features. So we've done some feature testing has started. Again, you've heard that other features are still being planned, so those details are being worked out. As those details get cleared up, we will continue to build test plans for those and get that started to track in the normal spreadsheets that we use for tracking that content in StarlingX. So sheets will be created in our Google space, and we'll get that put in there. In terms of our regression, there's no change planned for our regression coverage in 10.0. We'll do the same sort of thing we did for 9.0. We do have an agenda topic that we've talked about earlier tomorrow, where Steve's got some ideas, but we will talk a bit more about tests. So I'll share some data there in terms of more detail around how we test these days, what we're testing, that sort of thing. And we'll have some more of a conversation around that in tomorrow's agenda item. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of a high-level summary for what we did in 9.0, and again, very high level what's coming in 10.0 with the feature content. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Rob.
No problem.
We will, oops. Try to see where we are. Build team. I think I saw Scott. Scott, are you able to provide some info on the build team, or? Okay, maybe Scott left. So I don't see Scott. I don't see Mike. Maybe that's that's more a thing. Juanita for docs. I think Juanita's here, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. So, just give me one. Yeah, regarding the StarlingX docs, Greg is, of course, our project lead. And then, we have a small team of Ron, Eliza, and Millie that are part of the team right now. We had a few other contributors, but they've left as well. So we focus mainly on the StarlingX projects, the contributor guide, which is used by the community, and the CLI API reference guides. So some of the accomplishments that we've done in 2024, in the first quarter, and from the last PTG, we've successfully delivered StarlingX 9.0 with approximately 32 features for StarlingX 9.0. And we've done a bit of enhancement to the docs. So we've, revised part of the StarlingX guide, the security guide and the CLI. We're working on CLI and some basic terminology, which we have improving on. And of course, the link is here. We have the link to the docs here and some examples of the tabs that we are creating in our installation guides. And then we have now more contributors from the community who are contributing to docs, specifically, initiating reviews, Gerrit reviews, which is excellent. So they're picking up feature work from the StarlingX spreadsheets, the feature spreadsheets, and being able to deliver to docs. And the doc team are editors for some of those reviews. So thanks to the community for doing that. And then we have updated approximately 200 effects that impacted StarlingX docs for the last 2 quarters. So that is including the Launchpad bugs and some bugs that were created by our team. And then we have the contributor guide also, which is updated for anyone in the community who wants to continue contributing to our docs. We merged approximately 250 reviews with updated content for StarlingX 9.2. And then some of the improvements we're doing, we're trying to enhance the version of our tools, but we have to collaborate with the different projects and the teams to be able to do that. So we are working on that in the back end. And then we have continued enhancements to our docs, again, as I described earlier, and that's what's happening on a continuous basis. Restructuring of the security guide that we're focusing on right now. And also we're trying to see if we can, any duplicate information can be removed or eliminate duplicate information from the docs. We're working on that continuously as well. Then we've improved experience for new users, which may lead to greater StarlingX adoption. Sphinx tools, we're trying to standardize on the Sphinx tools that we use upstream, downstream to reduce the churn in errors that we sometimes face. And of course, we are reaching out to the community for any collaboration or any concerns we have to enable us address those issues. And then we want the community to continue raising LP bug stories and contribute content. We saw this in the last quarter. There's been an enhanced contribution from the community, which is good. And then also we want us to be a part of every review that goes out in our docs, for our docs, because it's very important that, you know, we are gatekeepers and we are able to understand what's being integrated into the StarlingX docs as well. And of course, the roadmap, we are working on the 10.0 release that's scheduled for September. And again, a big thank you to everyone who contributed to the doc updates from the StarlingX community. And we welcome you to join us. We meet on Friday morning, 9 a.m., 6 a.m. Pacific time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have links to our meeting notes as well as the docs team call. Yeah, thank you. That's all from my side. Are there any questions or questions from the group? Yeah, that's it, Greg, from my side.
Okay, thank you, Anita. We got 3 left to do. So I think Linda and Mark are here to talk about the OS.
Sure.
All right. Let me
Linda, you came. I wasn't sure if you were going to be here, so I was prepared to wing it if not. Thanks for being
No,
here.
yeah, we can do it together. Yeah. No,
It's all good.
Yeah. So let me see. Can people see? Do I need to go to presentation mode?
Yeah, maybe presentation mode.
Yeah, with the smaller text on the next slides, it might be better to be a little bit bigger.
Let me see. How do I go to?
Just go to the bottom, hit the little thing that looks like a projector next to the slider.
Looks like
to the left.
Hi.
That thing, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I hope it doesn't kill my machine. Oh, there we go. So this is for OS distribution and multi-OS working group. Pretty much what we're going to cover is our StarlingX next release, kernel rebased to 6.6, Debian OS rebased to version 12, and ARM Arch. So we'll provide some status on these. Our Q1 update, our kernel has been rebased. Spec file has been approved for kernel update to version 6.6. It's currently hosted on a separate branch on the StarlingX branch that's away from the default branch. The OS rebase is currently also being upgraded to Debian version 12. That's the baseline x86 64. And in addition to that, there is ARM architecture support. The status on the ARM side, there's hardware-wise, there's 6 servers were sent to Wind River from ARM. Originally 2 went to Ottawa, 4 were installed in Alameda. This is some lab shuffling. The 2 in Alameda also got sent to Alameda as well. So now currently we have 6 servers in Alameda. For the original machine, Alameda has now been all racked up and set up to AIO at Simplex, waiting for IT for external access for the community. This is a status as of last week. So maybe perhaps by now there is external access, but stay tuned, that should be coming. For the software porting side, porting is still in progress. Jackie still have 33 patches are still outstanding under review. The package build is still trying to be work in progress as well. We're trying to push the package build through ARM into Syngent. That's still in progress. Needs help from community. If anyone who has who's willing to, who has resource and who's willing to help, feel free to contact us. And we would like to get any help we can get from the community to get this pushing the ARM package into Shenzhen and getting package built. We're also working on some installer issues, or not so much issues, but more of cleanup, removing OS tree from the installer ISO. So that is still pending in progress. And that's pretty much in the status from last quarter.
Hey, Linda.
Yeah.
One question, I don't understand the removing OS tree from installer ISO.
This is one that let me just hold on. This is the one that
Yeah, I thought we dropped that one, Linda. Like I thought there was nothing left to do on that.
Yeah, I think at one time we were thinking of doing that and replacing it with packages, dev packages, but then we ended up staying with the OS tree repo.
Right, but this one, I believe, maybe this got dropped, but I think we were actually going to get I forgot his name. Hang on a second. From Mike's team to take a look at this, because it's been on the agenda for a while. He was actually out on the fraternity leave, so now he's back. But due to
Yeah. Maybe we follow up on that. I think it's old and no longer required.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been stale on the agenda, Greg. As Linda said, I think I'm not sure if it was Lewis or someone else that was. Anyhow, it's been at the bottom of our agenda for the last few months. But I thought you guys had moved on from that design. So
yeah, I think, like I said, I think we were planning on that at one time, but I think we dropped it and are not going to do that anymore. But yeah, maybe just I'll make a note that we'll have a follow-up action just to confirm that that's the case.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Greg. Right.
And as for the content of Linda's slides, obviously a lot of this work is ongoing. So if people are interested, the review requests are actually in progress. Most of them currently around the kernel 6.6. So yeah, as always, if you're interested, keep an eye out on the review list, and you'll be able to follow along.
Can I ask a question just in terms of the kernel 6.6 builds? Because in the community call, it was noted for several weeks that the branch builds are failing. Has that been resolved? There is.
I wasn't aware of that. I know that there was some juggling.
There is a launch pad that's been open for a long time. I mean, if somebody can take that as a follow-up action, I think it would be good because, obviously representation changes at the community calls, and sometimes we don't have the most up-to-date information. So I'll put it on the launch pad. And if we're able to get an update, maybe in the next community call, I think that would be very useful.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try to do that, Kata.
Thank you very much.
I know that there's been because there's a bit of juggling that had to go on for in-tree and out-of-tree, because moving to 6.6, some of the out-of-tree kernel modules were failing to build. I don't know if it's related to that, but there has been some of that juggling, and that's if you see the reviews that are going on this week, it's related to that, where basically they're having to disable the out-of-tree kernel modules. So we can get the builds working and then update them to the new version of the kernel before re-enabling them. So I don't know if it's related to that juggling, but hopefully we'll come to the end of that.
Fair enough. That's great. And if you look at the launchpad I put in the chat, whenever you guys have the time, you'll see it is related to kernel modules.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we can get those reviews done this week. Some of them are fairly extensive, so but anyhow, hopefully we can get them done and get the kernel back on a good footing.
That's great. Thank you so much.
All right, Greg, back to you. No other questions?
Yeah, thanks, Linda. think we are on containers. I think didn't see Bruce, but I think Chris is around. I don't know if Chris, you can give an update on the container team.
Yeah, I
or...
can give an update.
Okay.
Give me a second. I can share my screen here. Okay, so looking back at StarlingX 9.0, we now support Kubernetes versions between 124 and 127. So when we upgrade from the previous release, it'll be on 124, and then customers and users will be able to upgrade all the way up to 127. As part of this, we are changing the control plane taint to align with upstream. Originally, it was master. It's now been changed to control plane. So this has implications for anybody that's wanting to run application pods on the control plane nodes, because they have a taint. This is in a standard lab specifically. There's a taint that normally prevents application pods from running on the control nodes. But if you add a suitable toleration, then it will be able to run there. On AIO SX in particular, we now support multi-version Kubernetes upgrades as manual steps and as an orchestrated upgrade. So it's possible with a couple of commands to trigger an upgrade all the way from 124 to 127. And you'd basically just fire off the command and it will go off, shut down the applications, and then run through all of the Kubernetes versions all the way up to the desired final version. If anything goes wrong, we also now support aborting the Kubernetes upgrade. And if that abort is triggered, then we will revert the system back to the way that it was before the Kubernetes upgrade was triggered. So whatever version of Kubernetes you were running on originally, it will be reverted all the way back to that, not just to the next version previous to where the abort was triggered. The pod security policy had been deprecated back in Kubernetes 121, and in 125 it's removed entirely. So the suggested replacement is to use the pod security admission controller, and this is all documented upstream. So we're just aligning and following with upstream. Also, the node feature discovery StarlingX application is available. This makes available labels on each node based on various hardware attributes of the node, and it allows scheduling applications that want specific features on the node that they're running on. So you can look for particular CPU flags or particular hardware presence. Any questions on that? Okay. Looking forward to the next release. So we plan to keep staying up to date with new versions of Kubernetes. 128 is available in the dev branch currently. 129 is just about ready. We're still getting upgrade support nailed down. Don't anticipate any major API compatibility issues. They're pretty minor for the next couple of releases. Networking and storage components are expected to be updated, just basically staying up to date with upstream. And we're considering whether we can try and speed up some of the multi-node Kubernetes upgrades. Currently, we don't have the automated mechanism to do the multi-version, multi-node upgrades. I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but we're going to see if there's hoping to see if there's anything we can do to shave off some of the time that's spent on it currently. So that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions?
That's good. Thanks, Chris. The last but not least project for today, I think, is just Gada. If you have any update on release team activities.
Of course I do, Greg.
Of course.
Let me share.
Do you expect something different, Greg?
right. Will you guys, am I back here? I'm gonna try slideshow to see if that makes things a little bit better. Can everybody see?
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so the StarlingX release team basically here is our information. Our team focus is again to plan and help coordinate release content and schedule across the various project teams and to advise on any like project processes or best practices if any new members need that. In terms of contributors, we have myself, Rob represents the test team, Greg represents the TSC, Scott and Davlet represent the build team, Juanita represents docs, and Ildiko represents basically community engagement. We also get contributions obviously from all project leads and feature primes, because without knowing what the plans are for each team and what they can accomplish in terms of capabilities and dates and such, we can't really put a release plan together. We meet bi-weekly on Wednesdays at 9:30 Eastern. The meetings are public. We have an Etherpad, and we do encourage you, if anyone wants to join us at any time, you're more than welcome. Wikis, these wikis basically will give some of the criteria for the milestone. The high level dates are all there, and we have detailed Google Sheets that provide kind of the content and schedule for each release. So that's what we do in case somebody is not familiar. In terms of achievements for STX 9.0, I'm happy to say that the status of the release is now released. I just sent the email declaration about maybe half an hour ago, so it's fresh off the press there. So speaking of press, Ildiko will be sending the press release blog shortly now that we have declared the milestone. You can reference this email if you want to see where the build artifacts are and the documentation. It's available there. I've put just for everybody's knowledge and interest, this has been a long release. You'll see that it took a full year from milestone 1 to the release date, which is we're hoping we would be able to move back to a 6 months or close to a 6 months cadence. There were many challenges around the transition on OpenStack and the transition to Debian that has made it necessary for us to spend this longer time duration to get the release stable. I always keep a release in numbers, little couple of bullets. So in terms of delivered features, this is from the planning spreadsheet. There are 33 delivered, and number of fixed launch pads, just like a general count on everything that is tagged for 9.0, there were 783, which if you compare to previous releases, this is a big number, but again, duration was much longer than usual. I've kept here a feature summary and highlights. I don't think I'll go through that because every project team has already gone through and talked about their accomplishments and deliverables. So I'll just leave this here as a reference. The release notes also highlight the main deliverables of the release, so you can always check that if you want that information.
And some of these we're writing blogs on, right?
Yes, sorry, Greg, I did not include the blog information. It is on our Etherpad though.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some blogs that are planned and in progress. Okay. I'll go to STX 10. So I would say planning has started. These are the tentative milestones for the release. Milestone 1 is at near the end of this month in a couple of weeks. Milestone 2 is in May. Milestone 3 end of August, and then RC1 is when we create the release branch, which is in early September, and we hope to release by the end of September. Currently, the number of proposed features in the planning spreadsheet is 20. I will, after I'm out of presentation mode here, I'll show you the spreadsheet, and there's a call to action on the next slide regarding that. And I've also captured feature highlights here, and I'll just tell you guys that I was cheating. So as you were all presenting your plans, I tried to pull together the summary of what is being planned for every team. So there is a consolidated list here that hopefully would be useful for different team members to consult as they wish. And this will lead me to my call of action, because basically all the highlights that everybody has talked about today is not in our planning spreadsheet yet. And so we need to do that, and we need to work together as project and feature leads to start populating some of these key dates that we look for. Are you having a spec? When is that expected? When do you expect the code to merge? And when do you expect the feature testing to happen? Because based on that is the release team will look and scrutinize these milestones, especially the ones that from milestone 2 onwards, because that's when, you know, we have specific criteria that we want to meet, so that we don't call the milestones too early, or we don't have unrealistic dates that don't actually match the bottom-up planning that each project team is doing. So with that, I will go here so you guys will see. We always have a release. Every release has a folder, and this is the StarlingX 10 folder, and even under here is where we've been posting the feature info and PTG information is right there that we've been going through. And this here is the feature plan. Sorry. Which has the tentative dates. It tells you that this is still tentative and in planning, and this is basically the list of feature content, which is what we really depend on to try and make sense of the milestones and choose something reasonable. So I encourage all of you guys, please do take the time in the next week or two to fill this with your plans. If you can add the storyboards, obviously next is going to be, again, to try and pull out some of these key dates, especially around code merged first, as well as feature tested, so that we can work the release plan. So anyway, so 20 are on the list already, so it's great, but please do take the time to add your plans here. I will point out that we don't have a hard deadline on feature inclusion. I always talk about that, so it's not like we have to know every feature by milestone 1, but we basically, what we want is we want iterative planning, and we want teams to come back and say, okay, well, you know, due to changes in priority or whatever it is, or you know, this is coming in or this is moving out. The key is just to make sure we keep an accurate view, and we just kind of use this as the single point of truth, if you will. And that's pretty much all I have for release. Anything you want to cover, Greg or Rob, or people who work day in and day out with me in those meetings? Juanita, anything you would like to add?
I didn't have anything to add. I don't know if just anybody else, or has any questions or anything on the release process?
Okay.
No, we're just noticing that, you know, I mean, a lot of people have been contributing from the community for our docs. So we would appreciate if, you know, everybody can just add the name specifically of the doc group so that we are, I mean, aware of the reviews coming in. For sure, we do know because we see them in our repos and we are able to gatekeep them. But at the same time, I think people are not aware of the docs team as well to be able to include us. Because we don't want to merge any review without knowing, I mean, where there's no feature or a Launchpad bug that's been related to that update.
And I suspect that
agreed.
and I suspect nobody would be able to merge, right? Because I think the only cores for the doc repo is like you and Ron and myself and right. So
Yeah, that's correct. Correct.
yeah,
But
so,
just that we don't have any traceability of any Launchpad bug or feature. So that's
right. Yeah.
Well, I think in general, you know, I think we always encourage reviewers if it's not clear what the purpose of a review or a commit is, that they should seek that clarification. And as a general guideline and best practice, we do obviously not only for doc updates, but for any update, encourage either the use of a storyboard if we're working on a new capability, or a launchpad if it's a bug fix. So that these are all good reminders, Juanita. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Carla. Thanks, bro.
Any other questions for GATA and the release team? All right, thank you, GATA.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, so okay, we'll check in with Scott Camp and the build guys tomorrow. We covered the OpenStack versioning in Douglas's OpenStack distro project update. I don't know about what you guys think, but I have to actually drop at 11:30, so I was going to suggest we move this to tomorrow because you might not get that much participation from guys that are burnt out for 2.5 hours of meetings. So anybody object with kind of closing today, and we'll move this retrospective into tomorrow's agenda?
I second that. I have to drop at 11:30 as well, so I'm good with that.
Okay, sounds good, because otherwise we're only gonna have like 10 minutes or so to discuss. So okay, perfect. Thank you guys very much for attending, and thanks all the PLs and TLs for presenting the project status update. I kind of find this agenda item in our PTG the most interesting, just to kind of go through what's been going on technically in the different projects. So thanks for that, and just a reminder, it's the same time tomorrow, same Zoom link, and hopefully everybody can come there for the topics there.
And also a reminder, if you've presented slides, please do post them just for others to be able to reference them later.
Yeah, and that link is up here to get to that Google Docs folder that people had the presentations. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, folks.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Everyone, bye.
Thanks.